Aric Fishman here from Outdoor Skills and Thrills, author of the Thunder Bay Climbing Guidebook. I'm just about to make some crack climbing gloves, and I figured why not do a little videotape and show you all how I make my gloves. First, get a roll of tape, and you're going to try to cover the back of your hand first. So first thing that I always do is measure how much tape I'm going to need, and it'll go from the edge on pinky side to the edge of your first finger. And so I'm going to cut that length. And you want to lay it over so that it covers just over the knuckles, just like that. That's step one. Next thing is you're going to take another piece and start going down your wrist, or down the back of your palm rather. Second strip, you want it to cover half of the first strip. Like so. It's going over half. It's continuing down the back of my palm, back of the hand there, and I'm going to keep doing that as I go down until the back of the hand is fully covered, all the way down to the wrist. One thing that I find really important is to make sure that there's no folds or any bubbles or anything like that. So make sure that everything is sitting nice and flat, and that you don't go past the edge of your hand there on both sides. Okay, we're getting closer to the end there. When I do this, I also try to keep my wrist nice and straight so it's not bent one way or the other. And I'm going to go just past the bend of my wrist, probably a couple more strips down, maybe 1 or 2 strips more. And I think I'm actually going to go 1 more strip down. That way, the end result is I'm going to make, after I'm done everything, a wrist wrap. And I want to make sure that that wrist wrap actually covers all the tape that I put down here. So 1 more down. Just like so. So I'm going to actually take this off right now, just so that I can press it really hard down without pressing it into my hand, because I have a lot of hair on the back of my hand and I don't want to like press that in. The end result is just going to be ripping it off after is going to be that much more painful. So I'm just going to kind of press it hard on the front of my palm here so that I make sure that everything is sticking together really well before I continue on to the next steps. And I do this step to really make sure that everything is sticking really good. That way later on you don't end up having one of the folds coming undone on you. Another nice thing about doing this is that I'm starting to make the sticky side not as sticky, which is, for me, kind of nice. It's still sticky, but it's not like crazy sticky. That way it's not ripping all the hair off the back of my hand when I go to take this off later. Okay, so I got it back on. This is the first step, getting all that done. Next, we're going to do finger wraps. Pinky, first finger, and then thumb. And then after that, a wrist wrap to get it all sealed. So the next thing is you got to get a pretty big strip, because what we're going to do is go from the bottom here up, around, and then back down to the bottom of the wrist. So I'm just going to estimate right now how much I need. And I always start from the pinky, then do the first finger, then the thumb. You'll see why in the end. But what I'll do here is start by lining it up so that this strip starts at the end, comes up, keeping everything. I find this is like the most critical step to make sure that you have a really good set of gloves that you can reuse for a long time. Is making sure that you get that proper, not going over the edge still. Then I'm going to open my fingers up wide and do like a little bit of a bend here in the tape. Coming around. Trying to make it so that I could show you all, but I actually need to have it like this for me to get this right. And then you come back across over here. Okay. Fold that in a bit. Okay, that's the first. In the end, I'm going to want to make sure, so first I have horizontal pieces of tape. Now I'm going to try to get all the tape to be vertical, more or less, so that when I slide my hand in and out of the crack, it's not ripping the tape off, essentially. So that's one. And the other thing too is that you want to cover up as much of the horizontal strips as possible, so that you don't end up with any horizontal ones showing. So you can see now it's starting to look a lot more clean. This one's a bit too long, so I'll probably just rip that off. Like so. And again, very critical to make sure that there's no folds and no bubbles and no bumps on this. You want to end up with as small of a layer as possible so you can get your hands into those thin cracks and not have it all bulky. So now I'm going to do a bit of a press. Make sure that that's all good. And as you can see, there's none of the horizontal piece of tape showing now at this point. And I got one more strip to do on the thumb. And this one, I like to start it in the, almost like in the middle. And then around the thumb and then back down the wrist. So I'm going to estimate again. Probably around this much. Starting in the middle-ish. Kind of having that angle again so that it's not too sideways, as vertical up and down the hand as possible. Coming right back down to that line. Making sure that you're covering up this part. So you can see it's a nice, it's going from the edge here around nicely up to this part of your thumb so that all the necessary parts are covered up. And then the final step is that wrist strap that I was mentioning at the beginning. And this, you want to make sure that it's just below the bend of your wrist and going all the way around. So I'm going to start it in the middle here. Voila. And that's how you make a crack glove. And I'm going to repeat the same thing on the next hand. I'll show you a little trick that I do to make them even more durable, last even longer. Oftentimes, my crack gloves, I climb very often, pretty much daily. And I can make a pair of crack gloves last at least one full season, usually 2 seasons if I really take care of my gloves. And by taking care of my gloves, I'm essentially meaning not scraping your hand up and down the cracks. It's like you get your jam, you're good to go. But there's a couple things that I've found that can actually help make it last even longer. The weak parts usually are up in here. Here, 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 here. That's what starts to go first. So what I'm going to do next is take the wrist strap off. Ooh, a little painful. And this wrist strap I leave on, so that I can just seal it back up after. And that's the only thing that needs to be replaced on occasion. But now the painful part of taking this off. And you want to do it carefully so that you don't end up messing up your tape glove. Oh, yeah. There we go. Psyched about this glove. Okay, so what I'm going to do is essentially add like another piece, small piece right here going over. And that'll make sure you can see that there's kind of like the edge of one piece of tape there, one there. So this is still thin in here. That's what can sometimes rip. So just going to take a little strip. Just like that. And cover up that space there. Fold it over. So that kind of just helps. I find that that actually helps quite a bit for longevity of the glove. And if I really want to, which I might do, is add another one inside the finger there, inside the finger there. This edge right here, because you could see it's already, it's like a weak spot. So adding like a little backup strip I find helps. So we'll just do that. Inside the finger there. Covering up the edges, folding it over. And you can see I'm being a bit nitpicky about exactly where all the folds are, and to make sure that I'm actually taking the time to make it nice and flat throughout. I find that that's pretty critical if you want a glove that'll last for a long time. And why not? Why wouldn't you want a glove that lasts for a long time? You're putting the effort into it. You want to waste tape if you don't have to. And one more in the thumb. There we go. And then I make sure to really press down anywhere that there's like an edge of the tape that you can see. I really press that down to make sure that it's sticking well. But there we go. There's a tape glove. Ready for crack climbing. You just put it right back on. Put your wrist strap back on, and it's good to go. Hope this helped you figure out how to make a crack climbing glove, and that you enjoy your climb time. Peace out.